Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars has 1 to 4 players reading through a graphic novel adventure, which happens to be the name of the series of games, to solve 4 cases as a team. This comes with 1 map, 1 mission book that explains the cases and their resolutions, and 4 books and bookmarks, 1 for each character. Wiggins, the leader of the Irregulars, has deduction and observation skills. Myrtle's skilled at disguises and performances. Ike's fists will deal with any trouble that comes your way. Vicky is quick and nimble, often finding creative ways into and out of situations. Gameplay is as simple as it can get. Each player reads their book. We all created voices for the characters to get into the rules. To get around town, you'll need a good sense of direction, or at least rely on the compass in the corner and the included map. You'll investigate characters, rooms, and/or objects. Most of the time, the numbers will be the same for all 4 characters. Occasionally, a character's unique ability may spot something useful. Turn to that page. If correct, proceed based on the instructions. If incorrect, quickly pop back to where you were to avoid being spoiled. If your character found something unique to them, the book may separate you for a moment, but will instruct your group to meet you at a particular panel. If you solve the case, read the resolution in the mission book, then decide if you're going to take a break or continue. If you ever need to take a break mid-game, the bookmark will help you jump right back in. If you failed, you'll have the opportunity to try again. Read together, work together, and use your special abilities when you can. That's Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars. Our games of Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars have averaged around an hour. Setup and takedown are super quick because it's just a book. The first 2 cases could be played on weeknights, but save the 3rd for a weekend. The 4th case is special, so it depends. Player areas are super small because all you have is the book, a piece of paper, and a pencil. We played on our couch and chair, but we made sure we had something hard to write on. The whole game is reading, grade 3/4, and puzzle solving. At least 1 adult or teen should play to help with the math and handful of trickier puzzles. Theme-wise, it's scarier than the Crusoe Crew, but not as intense as the main series of Sherlock Holmes books. I agree with the 8-and-up recommendation on the box, but not all 8-year-olds. In our 3rd game of Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars, me, Mom, Dad, and Grandma were working on the 2nd case. Things were going well. Okay, well-ish at first. Dad solved a few things quickly in a room and was making notes. Mom misunderstood, and because we had to split up, went running off. She told Dad which panel to turn to, but he hadn't heard where she had gone because he was writing things down. He immediately felt like things were off, but solved a few puzzles anyhow. In the meantime, me and Grandma were separated and I had to wait for them. Dad was like, "Wait, which direction did you take us?" Mom had led them to the solo room. This wouldn't have been a big deal, but we were on a timer. Anyhow, they warped back to the main room, went the correct way this time, and then chose new rooms from there. Mom figured that she'd help Grandma. I'd already figured out what to do, but, and I'm trying to avoid spoiling things, Mom and Grandma couldn't figure out their end. We failed. From then on, I decided that if we ever had to split up, me or Dad had to be with Mom, and the other had to be with Grandma to spread things out better. As I explained in that longer than usual story time, Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars isn't just look at a panel, spot a number, and move on. You really need to put your heads together. There weren't as many hidden numbers as in the Crusoe Crew, but there were more puzzles, which is cool. The game will feel very different depending on which characters are being used, which choices are made, even though the endings are the same, and the people playing. Excellent. The characters are definitely different. Wiggins opens up a few options when questioning someone. There's a really cool moment that is available if Myrtle is in play. Actually, a couple of cool moments. Moving around the city can change depending on your characters. I've talked before how much I love the portability of these. Even though this and the Crusoe Crew are bulkier than the single books in the main series, they can still easily go in a backpack. You can also play them while traveling in a vehicle. Not if you're driving, though. It's too bad that only 1 map comes in the box, but Van Ryder Games has the file available to print. Those super cool bookmarks aren't available to print, but this is a new release. Maybe we're not good at spotting things or very smart, but we couldn't figure out the 4th case. After about 45 minutes, we just gave up. Again, I'm trying hard to avoid spoilers, but we feel like we only had 1 part to something bigger. There are errors, some minor, such as the number puzzle and typos, and some bigger, like when returning to a panel. One even had what looks like to us numbers that were left in that weren't supposed to be there. If you follow them, it takes you to a different location in a different case. I'm happy to say that the quality of these books, like with Season 2 of Graphic Novel Adventures, seems to be a high quality. We did a lot of flipping around. Grandma is a spine bender, and the books were just as sturdy afterwards as they were when we first opened the box. Nice. Sherlock Holmes Baker Street Irregulars is a challenging choose-your-own-adventure co-op game with exploration and tricky puzzles. Even though they support different player counts, I think this and the Crusoe Crew is meant to be enjoyed by 4 players. The puzzle solving, decision making, and role playing are all better with extra people. With that said, I am curious to see how some puzzles are handled in the solo game. As an all-ages group game, I do prefer the Crusoe Crew over this one. As a graphic novel adventure, I prefer the solo Sherlocks more than all the books. Seriously, I love the idea of these, and I'm happy to see Van Ryder Games releasing more and more for all player counts and themes.